Alright, back on this 4.8. As you can see, I've already got the cam, got the retainer, and the timing set already in. I was going to show you how, but it's just not sometimes worth it to mess with. You kind of see people putting cams and stuff all over the internet, so I'm not, it wasn't that big of a deal. But I went ahead and put it in. As you can see, put the new bottom gear on. Of course, new top. It might be hard to see. As you can see a dot on both of them facing each other like it's supposed to. So it's all lined up and ready to go. So anyway, what I was going to show you before I started doing any install, that's number 8. Starts number 1 left here. Excuse me. For the amount of time I had in cleaning these up, it would have almost been smarter and worth it to get new pistons and have put on. I had 5 hours just in cleaning these pistons. I could not believe how carboned up they were in the ring ridges, down inside the piston where the rings go, and I could not believe how bad they were. I finally went down and bought that chem dip. I let these things sit in diesel for at least 4 days soaking in diesel. The only thing it did was it loosened the oil rings up enough that I could get them off. I could not believe how bad they were. So anyway, they're clean, they're in order. I'm going to start putting rings on them, and I want to show you kind of, that's something I didn't tell you earlier. The rod bearings ended up being sealed power, which are fine. They're made by Federal Mogul, which seems to make quite a bit of stuff. I prefer Cleveite. These were the main bearings. I prefer Cleveite, and I almost always use Maul or whatever I could get comparable for piston rings. Those rod bearings will be fine for what I'm doing. It's not a race truck. It's not a race application. It's not going to be force inducted. This is a stock rebuild for a 4.8. So these will be fine. But normally, though, on any of my builds, I prefer Cleveite and Maul or something like that as far as rings, main bearings, stuff like that. And I won't use almost any gasket if it doesn't say Fel-Pro on it. That's me personally. That's something you guys will do. You do whatever you want and however you want. You may have had bad luck with something in the past, and so you just refuse to use it. And I understand. Sometimes that happens. But I built a lot of engines, and I've never had any trouble with using the better stuff. The only ones is when I used garbage stuff. I was looking for a set of gaskets one time, and I needed them right now because I was in a hurry. There was no eBay or nothing at the time, and they had a set of who made those gaskets? They weren't. I don't even remember now, but it was like an American name, but it wasn't. And it ended up being garbage. Everything leaked, nothing sealed right. Some of them didn't fit proper, so that's kind of how it works. So I'm going to sit you on a tripod real quick. We're going to get after some stuff. Forgive me for moving you all around and not being set up. I needed to get some of this stuff done today because Wednesday it's supposed to be rain. I got to work Monday, Tuesday. This is Sunday, and Wednesday a friend's bringing over his Lightning. We're going to put that transmission in. It's laying there on the floor. I'm not sure where to actually put you. I want to show you right now. I probably shouldn't have started this until I had it ready to go, but let me go over and take a look at this. See if it's clean. I've only had it in there about 3 or 4 minutes. Let me open up this real quick. I'm sorry, I should have had this a little bit more prepared, but I wanted to show you guys something that I ran into that I'm kind of surprised about. But another one of those differences between the Gen 1 and Gen 3 Chevrolet engines. Rinsing this off. I had that chem dip. I don't want to get it all over everything. Stuff pretty potent. Actually pretty good stuff. It's the first time I've really used that chem dip in many, many years. Pretty good stuff though. I mean, it's clean. It cleans stuff up better than this diesel. The diesel doesn't have any trouble cleaning off stuff that's somewhat liquidy, I guess you want to say it, but it really doesn't do very good on anything that's kind of caked on. You know what I mean? Put this back together. Kind of seal this back up. Boy, this garage really stunk yesterday. I know, you're looking at a set of pistons. Hang on, I'm working on it. Just kind of dried up. I wanted to show you something to run into. I mean, I've had carboned up engines before. I mean, everybody that's ever tore anything apart, it's amazing at how different. You think they would all somewhat be the same, you know, as far as, you know, if I take this one apart that's got 100,000 miles on it, then the next one with 100,000 miles should look exactly the same and be the same. And it is not like that at all. This thing did not clean. I did not have it in there very long. What I was trying to do though was show you something here. This is a stock 400 small block. It's a 1970, I think it was date coded on the block 12 of 73. The car, it was in a 74 Malibu. This is a 400 small block piston. I've took the rings off of it because, I'm going to show you, it may be a little bit hard to see. Let me get my pick. Alright. Let's see if you're even focusing on it. Okay. Oil ring is always the bottom one, at least on small block Chevys. I assume all motors. And there's I got the pick in this hole, and there's a slice in this from here to here. It's on both sides of the piston, but in this particular case, sorry, you're getting out of focus. But anyway, it's just a hole. I can actually probably stick it in from the back side. You see the pick sticking through there. Okay, that is a place for the oil. You know, it comes up, keeps them lubricated, but also keeps the oil moving, so it does not sludge up. Now you can see this thing has carbon buildup in it and stuff like that. I can't tell you how many miles are on this, and I have not even started cleaning. And I can already tell you that with very little cleaning, I think I could have these cleaned back up pretty quick. I'm not sure if you're in focus. You are. I mean, it's amazing compared to these. This is piston number 1. Okay. I still see a little bit of carbon everywhere when I look. Wow. What they did, instead of having, I thought I had these completely cleaned up. I was getting tired last night. It was miserable. Anyway, I'll do a little more, I guess. Anyway, they don't have that hole here. What they did, they just put 4 little relief cuts here and here to get rid of the oil. And what I have found is that didn't do a very good job of releasing the oil out, or it just held it in place and got hot. I really don't know. And this could be, again, lack of oil change, although I did not see anything in the motor itself that just scared me to death, you know, that oh man, this thing's wore out or whatever. Like I said, the only thing that bothered me, which we've already talked about, was the cam bearings. And after, like I said, getting on a couple of the forums, come to find out that that's most likely pretty common. Okay, so I already got the deal out of here. Half instructions. It kind of tells you, you know, sort of, you know, the different, this top ring, bottom ring. It doesn't have oil on there because it's in different languages, of course. But let me get the box. Like I said, these are the rings, and this says on here, when you open these up and you look in the box, all rings are all on this side. Remember, they're 3-piece, so you've got 3 of these go on each piston, and you got 1 and 1. Now, when you're looking at it, you're trying to read the paper, boy, they're not all the same, so you really have to look. Well, if you just pay attention like I didn't do there to begin with, I knew they were on a box somewhere. It actually says top groove, second groove, and then over here it says obviously bottom groove. So this actually tells you which one goes where. Now, reading the instructions, and it says if it has a dot on it or any of the taper or whatever, that always faces up towards the top of the piston. So keep that in mind. Somehow I grabbed 4 rings from the second groove too. Don't get me started. Now, I'm going to start with number 1. I'm just going to do one of these, and then I'm going to do the rest on my own, so you kind of get an idea of how to do it. But okay, in your oil ring box, you have 8 of these. They're kind of a springy looking deal. They go on the bottom, they go on first. They're very stretchy, so you can actually, I'm not going to say you can get abusive with them, but you can get a little more than you can, and you can see when it's on there, it moves real easy. Like it's, you know, matter of fact, it'll gap out where the separation is if you're not careful. All right, now I'm keeping an eye on my separation, which is actually, as you can see, it's right here. All right, and you take, there's actually two of the really thin ones. One goes on top of that and one goes on the bottom of that. Like I said, they are super thin. So again, these are very flimsy. And remember where your separation is. It's just right here. I don't like running them together. So you kind of just start it in. Hopefully you're actually seeing what I'm doing here. I'm kind of walking it at the same time. Try not to scratch, especially once you get to your compression, your second compression ring. And that goes in there. This is already starting to get tight, and there actually is a gap on all those with rings in place. So I will probably check it once I get it together. I'm just kind of showing you how to do it. Let me get one more of these. They're stuck together with oil. They just do that. One's for shipping so they don't rust or get stupid. I should have had them set up ready to go, but all right. I'm looking here to see where my separation again is, and then I started it there. I just like them in different places. I'm not sure that these rings make any difference, but I like it. Again, I just kind of set it in there, start pushing it around, a little bit of pressure, but very little. I mean, these things are, you know, pretty flimsy. And then once it gets around, it'll snap in. Pretty simple. You should still be able to move these, which I can. I have not oiled them or anything. Whoops, it's actually slipped out of that deal. You got to be careful of them because, like I said, these are kind of flimsy. You got to be more careful with them than you do. You know, your center rings are a lot harder. You have to be careful of them in a different way. So I'll show you that here in a minute. All right, and we know because of what the box says on the side. This is the second groove. The second groove goes first. Obviously, your top ring will be the last one to go on. And after looking at these rings, I did not see any mark on them as far as telling me what's top and bottom. So you kind of look at the ends. I know you're really not really looking at what I'm in, but to see if there's any type of a cutout or 45 or like I said, the box itself has several different ways that these can go. And this has an M facing up, and I am seeing a very little bit of a ridge here, but just trying to look at it, I'm not really seeing it. But according to the paper, it goes down. So that's how I'm going to put it on. Now to install this, you might have to start at the top and work it down. I'm going to try to start it in the actual ring it's supposed to go in. And like I said, be very careful. Go up with this one above it, but not too much. There is actually a tool that separates these, and you can just put it on and take them off in one. I do not possess this tool. So I'm just going to slowly, see it starts working itself in. When you get around here, I know you guys probably are not seeing what I'm doing, but you got to make sure I got my fingernail between it and the piston so that it does not scratch the piston on the way down. I don't know that it would hurt it a whole lot, but there's no sense in gouging up your pistons. And on the top ring, it actually has a dot. A dot goes up. That's what the paperwork says. And you don't want to line these rings up either. So I'm going to start at a little bit different place. Same type of deal. Get it started. You don't want to try to spring this out. You will tear it smooth up and break it. All right. Got one here. Got one here. The old ring. I see they're somewhat lined up there. Moving around a little bit. And that's how you put the rings on these pistons. They're actually very easy. It's a very small piston in comparison to, now see if you can see this, in comparison to the 400. Now mind you, the rings make it look a bit bigger, and then the 400 looks smaller. I'm sorry, you're not even looking at it because of the way the taper is on the low compression 8.5 to 1 piston. But anyway, so anyway, that's how you put the piston rings on. I'm sure that doing them using a tool for them is probably the smarter way to do it. But that's how I'm doing them, and I have actually never broke a piston ring, put them on, and taken them off that way. As a matter of fact, I tried breaking one of these yesterday that came off of this to try to use it as a scraper. You know, actually cut it or break it in half and then just use it just because it's a perfect size for the hole and or for the ridge. And I could not get it. Boy, it fought me tooth and nail. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and shut you guys off. This was just kind of a quick deal. I'll put you back on when I actually start stabbing them into the block, because the wind's blowing a little bit. And I want to close the garage up before everything gets covered. It's supposed to be really nice today, and like I said, I got to work the next 2 days. It's supposed to be crappy Wednesday, Thursday, so you know, it's kind of how it works, I guess. But anyway, I just kind of want to show you the difference there on these pistons, because I knew when I took these apart I'd never seen the oil dump like it, you know, because I was always used to these, and it's just amazing at the difference in them. I mean, how bad that really changed the way that, you know, the way that it did its thing. What I'm looking at and what I'm noticing is when you think about how the old engines worked, they were carbureted, and once they got a little old, they were usually running a little fat, and the oil got contaminated. But you were changing oil over 2,500 miles. Now you've got engines that's going 3,500 to 10,000 miles on oil changes because of synthetic and real lightweight oil. I don't like it. Our Toyota's that way. I think the motor's unusually noisy, but it runs like a 0.20 weight or whatever that is synthetic. Toyota's always changed it. But really surprised at how long that it goes between oil changes. And I am just as guilty on most of it. It's not so much a problem of mileage as it is a problem of age. Like I said, I bet it's been 2 years since I've changed oil in that MG, but I bet you it doesn't have 250, 300 miles on it since the oil change. And it's always inside a climate controlled garage. So should I spend more time, you know, changing oil? Probably so. It can't go synthetic. I could go, I suppose, with it, but I'm not going to do that right now. I got enough things going. But anyway, I'm going to shut you guys off, and we'll talk more about the oil situation later on.